we interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the midsummer version of Vikings Uncensored. Moving to our new time slots for the summer anyway. We're looking to do midweek shows, varying a couple days here or there depending upon Lance's schedule. But Ryno's Rants is going to take a sabbatical until training camp starts, and we'll just be doing the one show midweek since there's usually not a whole lot to talk about. But got a few things to hit tonight. Of course, we haven't spoken with Lance online since the draft, so we're going to get his final thoughts on what happened a week or so ago. And then, of course, take a look at what the plan is for one J.J. McCarthy, when we think he's going to play, and kind of what's been talked about, that kind of stuff. And then this week also the players' numbers were all released, and there's a ton of them to go through. So we'll give you a quick Cliff Notes version of who is who as far as the numbers and changes and all that good stuff. Doc, midweek episode is going to take some getting used to. Yeah, I understand, Doc. It's going to be a little bit for us too, but with the lake season and everything else, and seems like my internet is even worse than normal on the weekends anymore. So we're going to try this for a while and see how it works, just for a couple of months, and then get back to the old schedule once we start getting some football activities again. Anyway, a couple of news items this week, not a whole lot. Of course, rookie mini camp starts this weekend. Is it Friday, Saturday, or something like that, I think?
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think. I think it's all 3 days.
Is there a Sunday as well? I can remember it's 2 or 3 days. But so we'll get first look at some of these young guys, some of the undrafted free agents. I'm guessing they're going to have a few camp invitees that aren't on the list as we so far, but I haven't seen that yet.
I think the list is like 43, and I think they're going to have up to like 50 or so, or 60.
Yeah. Well, like we talked about earlier, the number switch. This is the list of players who have switched either new numbers or have switched numbers. So there's some of these guys aren't rookies, obviously, but
right.
Other than that, next week the schedule comes out as well on Wednesday night, I believe it is. Beers, cheers. You do you, Northviews, whichever way you want to do it. Both work. Have the beers with, and then do a cheers with the beers. Good evening, Paul. Thank you for joining. But anyway, let's put a bow on the 2024 NFL draft and get Brunswick's last reactions to what happened, the guys we got, the guys he liked, the guys he didn't. Starting off, I'm pretty sure you were quite upset with the drafting of one J.J. McCarthy.
I mean, he's my guy. He's been my guy for a long time. I mean, months before the draft, we were alluding to him as my crush, my man crush of the draft this year. And to get him at 10 is, about as beautiful of a thing that could have happened for us. And being able to hold on to our next year's capital, our number one, I should say, without having to sacrifice to move up to get a guy, I was elated when our pick was announced.
Good evening, Dave, Bill, everybody that's coming in the chat. Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have played out much better than that. We know that the Vikings offered a lot to try to go get Drake May, but at the end, what they were offering was reasonable, I think, but New England said no. So we stayed, moved up one because we wanted to make sure we didn't get too cute and lose McCarthy. But probably the even bigger surprise was that Dallas Turner was still available at 17, so Kwesi made another move.
Well, on draft night, the fact that we were able to keep that second pick of the first round was huge. And as soon as, we ended up getting JJ at 10, and then once again, getting over that and realizing, hey, we get to pick again this round. It was great. And then me and Reggie, the barbecue king, we're sitting here watching, and we're just, going back and forth. Who are we going to take? Is it going to be Jerzon Newton, Johnny Newton, or who's it going to be? And then the next thing you know, we're trading back up to 17, and we're like, whoa, who the fuck are we? Who are we going to take? And to get, the consensus number one defensive player on the board at 17 was a home run first round to me.
Yeah, I forgot that Dallas Turner was still there, and then it was because everybody expected him to go way higher, but a record 14 offensive players went at the top of the draft, and then Latu went to.
He was the first one off the board to Indy.
First one off the board, he went to Indy, which I'm okay with because his injury history concerned the hell out of me.
Yeah. I mean, the neck thing. I mean, he's kind of dealing with the same thing that Hunter is dealing with, or the same type of neck injury that Hunter dealt with a couple years back.
Yeah, but the thing with Latu is he's been injured a lot more. And I think, Hunter, other than that one spot there, really, for the most part of his career has been healthy. Other than
well, he had the biceps tear too, or whatever it was. Against Dallas the year he came back. But anyways, I was happy with both the first round picks. I gave it an A+. I think it's one of the better first rounds that we've had as a Vikings fan in a long, long time. And Kwesi nailed it, hit it out of the park in that first round.
Okay, then our other relatively high pick, Kyrie Jackson, the cornerback out of Oregon.
This is a great pick too. I love this pick, and I mean, as one human being to another on Kyrie Jackson's part, I mean, he seems like a really a down to earth type of kid, somebody that you could just walk up to and have a casual conversation about football with. And then the fact that how much he's had to battle, to get to where he is now, as well. I think they might have got a gem in Kyrie Jackson there in the fifth round.
Yeah,
fourth round, excuse me.
Yeah. When they met with him, I think it was at the Senior Bowl. Durante Jones met with him and came out of the meeting and said, "I want this kid."
Yeah, and then he pleaded his case too at that Senior Bowl as well about the politics that kind of go into the draft and all that, and why he was getting placed at certain spots. And I went back and watched the kid's tape, and I like what he brings to the coverage. And as from a physical standpoint too. But some of the things I did see that he's going to have to work on, and a lot of times in the league, this is what it is his hands. He can get a little handsy at times on routes, and in the NFL, it's going to get flagged every time. In the college, they kind of let it go a little bit more with a little bit of the pulls and tugs, but at the next level, he's going to get called for those. But other than that, the tape is good, and I like the mentality that the kid brings to the team.
All right, then we got a couple of different offensive linemen taken. Walter Rouse in round 6, the tackle out of Oklahoma, and Michael Juergens, a guard center out of Wake Forest, taken in the 7th round.
I think that Juergens could surprise a lot of people in camp. I think he's going to really push Bradbury, which is a good thing. Competition is always a good thing. But I think Juergens has a chance to, possibly look at starting depending on how he, shows out in training camp. But I think he's a 4-year starter out of Wake Forest, playing guard and center like you mentioned, and the window is there for him. I mean, that left, as of right now, that left guard spot is completely up in the air. Looking like Blake Brandel might take it, but in my opinion, it should be up for competition. And Bradbury at center, I believe, he could be looking at some competition too, and Juergens at both spots.
Yeah, well, and the way they were talking draft night is Rouse could move in and guard. So,
God, he's such a big specimen though, a guard, 6'5" guard. But I mean, man, if he could play the spot, then you put him there, of course. Yeah. But I like Rouse too. I like that pick. 4-year starting tackle at Oklahoma.
And he's smart. He's smart. He's a biomedical engineer too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility he comes in and takes over, a swing tackle. Or, Kessenberry played really well last year too. So, I mean, I do like the additions along the offensive line as well later on in the draft.
All right, then we had 2 other draft picks. How about the kicker in round 6, Will Richard?
Well, we picked a good one. I mean, the FBS's leading scorer in all time or whatever history. So we picked a good one. Now let's just hope we don't make the same mistake that we made in the pass rusherman, where he goes and he has a bad game and you give up on him right away and then ship him somewhere else. I mean,
that was my
first and foremost, you got to win the competition. Parker Romo, but I believe you spend a draft pick on the guy, he's most likely going to be the one getting the job to start the season.
Yeah, and they asked Dallas Turner about him, and he called him a cold-blooded assassin. So that's it.
Yeah.
And then the last player we actually,
that's pretty good. I like that Spinal Tap reference.
The last player we drafted, finally addressing the defensive tackle spot, Levi Drake Rodriguez.
Lots of potential here. I like the player on the I like the guy all around, but you can see his play on the field and the tenacity that he brings to the next level. When he's on the field, I mean, he comes from a smaller school, and I'm rooting for the kid, and I like the guy's personality and the what he brings to the position. I would have liked the position addressed a little bit sooner in the draft, but given the circumstances, I think we got ourselves somebody special that could potentially fight for a backup role to start out, and then maybe see playing time later on. Not this season, maybe next year. I mean, to me, it seems a lot of these rookies that we've been taking in the draft, they've been developing them steadily. Instead of just throwing them right in. I believe that the coaching staff has been developing a lot of these young kids since they brought them in, and then that's in the last 2-3 years. And that's why you're not seeing a lot of them take the field right away. Like, I think Roy could be a huge example of that this year on the defensive line.
So.
Yeah. So, I mean, amongst a few others as well.
Yeah. Guys like Hercules and Twyman were supposed to be a disgusting act. That's a very good point. Had high hopes for those guys, and neither one of them really ever panned out for us.
It's been a long time since we've had an above average, even, I would say, defensive tackle or nose tackle on the roster.
Mm-hmm. And there's a shit ton of UDFAs. I'm not going to go through them all, but anybody out of that UDFA class stick out to you?
Murphy, of course. McLaughlin, another guy that sticks out to me. Gant, another guy that sticks out to me. I mean, this Minnesota organization has done phenomenally in the last couple of seasons when it comes to the extra draft after the main draft, as far as going out and getting those leftovers of some people that just felt that were, considered actual to be drafted, and going out and getting those guys after the actual draft, and the highly touted ones as well.
Hold my breath on Levi Drake. Yeah, I hear you on that, Drew. I know I was real high on Twyman as well. I thought the kid had a chance to be something special, and just
Goes out and gets shot.
Yeah. Exactly, Doc. There's people out there that are still hating on Kwesi, and yeah, his first draft, not gonna lie, it sucked.
I'm a firm believer in not drafting a draft until at least 3 seasons after the said draft.
Yeah.
You can't expect every single one of your draft picks to step out in the field day one and be a game changer or a playmaker or a starter even at that point. A lot of these kids that we take need to be developed. And everybody is so quick. Everybody's so quick to have a sharp tongue with these young guys. It's all about developing.
Instant gratification society. That's the problem, right? It's if they discussing James Lynch. Yeah, Lance and I were both big James Lynch fans, and he couldn't stay healthy, and he
hit a plateau and then kind of started going back downhill again. Regressed. Exactly.
Yep. All right. So let's move on. How about let's discuss the path to franchise quarterback for one J.J. McCarthy. Of course, Kwesi is out there. He said all the right things, everything else, that he has a plan, and McCarthy's going to have to show that he can hit those benchmarks before he can move on to the next kind of stuff. I love the one comment that Kwesi made the other day about teams will fail a young quarterback long before the young quarterback will actually fail the team.
That's a good quote. That's a good quote for sure.
He gets it. We talked about that before too. That a lot of these young guys that get drafted early, like, for instance, Drake May going to New England with absolutely nothing around there. And he runs a chance of it.
To me, a long story short, if the kid is ready and shows that he's ready, then you play the kid. Especially, it'd be different if we were in complete rebuild mode and we had no supporting cast whatsoever, to get this kid going. I'm not saying rush JJ into playing right away, but if he goes out and shows that he can do what is needed pre-snap, as far as all the little moving pieces and shit that go on before you actually take the snap of the ball, and be able to get the ball out to the right guy on time, then let the kid go. Let him play. Let him play week one. I honestly believe you go into training camp with an honest, true competition at quarterback, and may the best man win.
Hey, Dave, is this better? Somehow or another, my mic got switched off to my computer.
That's good.
That was part of my
I think that's much better, honestly.
Much better. All right. Apologize for the technical difficulties as usual. But yeah, I think if McCarthy shows in camp that he's ready, he's going to have every opportunity to win that job week one, but they're not going.
A lot of people want to look at this like, oh, look what Green Bay did with Aaron Rodgers, and look what they did with Jordan Love, and look what Kansas City did with Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith. Well, it's a different situation. It's not the same. It's not like we have, an Aaron Rodgers playing right now on our team to where you can just sit your rookie. Yeah, we got Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold isn't Aaron Rodgers. Sam Darnold isn't even Alex Smith. And the thing is that we got the foundation here that's been proven that can win some games over the last 2 seasons.
Right.
The situation's not the same as that. And if JJ's as smart as everybody said coming out on the whiteboard and just intellectually smart, if he's ready, you let him go. You let the kid spread his wings and fly.
Oh,
learn on the job. You know, a lot of us do in real life. You know, and in the average working man's life, you learn your job on the fly as well.
Well, and honestly, I think that they've kind of been planning for this because, you know, you bring in Aaron Jones to fix the running back room, you know, after having the issues last year. As it sits so far, you know, getting the offensive line guys they're bringing in are better at run blocking. You know, Reisner last year was a decent pass blocker, but his run blocking was not good.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest reason why Reisner has not been re-signed yet. Now, there's definitely a possibility that he could come back, depending upon how some of these guys look in, you know, some of the early camps and stuff. And I forget if it was Kevin Seifert or somebody on Twitter X had made a comment about that today, that you know, they wouldn't completely close the door on Reisner coming back yet, especially since he doesn't seem to have a huge market for his services.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting, but I don't know if he just wants too much money, or if it's because his run blocking isn't that good, or what the deal is. But I know pass blocking he did fine, but our running game last year was non-existent, and especially
honestly, I think a lot of that had to do with the person carrying the football. I mean, it was night and day between Madison and the opportunities that Ty Chandler was given compared to the opportunities that Madison was given more than plenty of.
Yeah.
You know, I think the play of the offensive line isn't exactly indicative of the run blocking in general, as far as the person that's carrying the ball behind the line and trying to get these lanes, or not being patient or being too patient or whatever it is. You need someone that's going to be able to carry the ball well. And Chandler proved to us early on, and I believe most of the other fans early in the season, that he should have been the one that carried the ball.
Yeah.
And it just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed, and Madison just kept getting the carries. And, you know, this offensive line, it will be fine week one of this season. I mean, I wish it would have been adjusted a little bit more, but I think that the story isn't exactly in the pudding from what we've seen last year.
Right. And no matter who's starting at quarterback, whether it's Darnold or whether it's McCarthy, both of them have mobility, which is one thing we all know that the other guy didn't have.
And McCarthy can make plays out of structure. He was one of the best coming out of the draft in making plays outside of the structure of the play itself.
Yeah.
People want to bitch about he just turned around and handed the ball off, but every single time he was asked to throw, most of the times those were gotta have it plays.
Mm-hmm. Most of the time, your third and 7, 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 8s, what, you know, 4th
and most
and 3,
of those times he was making those plays.
Yep.
You know, I do not have confidence in this kid going into I mean, you guys all know how much I love McCarthy. I can't wait to see how his college tape translates to the next level, and his play, keyword, his play in general, how that translates to the next level.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly the thing, you know. And I think if he, like I said before, if he's ready to play, I think he will play. And I think with hopefully a renewed emphasis in the run game, that that'll take a little bit of stress off of him.
It's going to be a marriage that's just, you know, it's going to end up having to be a marriage between all three phases of that offense, you know.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, you know, and we talked about
it's going to be very sweet.
We talked about this before. You put most of these quarterbacks in this draft class out there with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson when he gets back. You know, all of those weapons, it's tailor-made for success. Aaron Jones in there now, Aaron Jones is a very good receiver out of the backfield as well. So, you know, and that's the biggest thing. You know, we talked about Madison and stuff a little bit earlier. Aaron Jones is a proven commodity. We know what he can do. because he's done it to us for years, and we've watched him do it to other teams for years. So I think that, that knowing that they were going with a rookie quarterback this year, whichever one it might be, a re-emphasis on the running game, I think, is going to be critical this week.
Jared just brought it up, but I think, honestly, there you go. You got it. Yeah. I believe Ham might be the odd man out this year. I think that last season might have been Ham's last year. I mean, people have been saying that for a year, but this is the year that I truly feel it as a fan, that this might be, Ham might not be on this roster this upcoming season.
I think he probably sticks it. A, because he's so good on special teams, and B, because they may need him for a little extra blocking.
He's a good locker room guy too. I get that, but I don't know with that tight end. It's gonna come down to who do you want more at a certain position. Is what it's gonna come down to. I like Ham. I want to keep him. I just don't know that he makes the 53.
Yeah, I mean, before
it's
they changed
the back in the same age to make the 53-man roster.
Yeah, before they changed the kickoff rules, I would have said that Kane Wong was going to be odd man out this year. But now that they've changed that, I think
he sticks. In my opinion,
it's going to make him more valuable. Yeah, unless one of these other guys that can play a different position can return kicks. Also, there's a possibility of that, I suppose. But I kind of think so too, Ryan. I think Ham's here this season. Beyond that, yeah, it's all up in the air after that. Steven, are we signing JJ anytime soon? Any word? Talks are ongoing. I've seen some rumors today that, again, nothing that we didn't already know. Some national guy came out and was saying that, Jefferson could be commanding $34-35 million a year. And it's like, duh, we all already knew that.
Pay him that.
He's not making. Justin Jefferson is not sitting there because Amon-Ra St. Brown got $30 million. Now we have to give Jefferson 31. I said this 2 weeks ago before the draft happened, when St. Brown got extended. Amon-Ra St. Brown's contract has no bearing whatsoever on what Justin Jefferson is going to make.
I believe he's getting signed regardless. I believe all of this is just unwarranted anxiety about Justin Jefferson. That's about media stirring everything up. I think just that both sides are still, in discussions and have been on good terms, and the fact that JJ's and JJ's agent are both the same guy, that helps it too, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I think after the draft, knowing that we got our guy of the future, that goes a long way in getting Jefferson signed. Excuse me. A lot of the times we go on to train. Yeah, I know I had a burp. Excuse me. A lot of times going in it's better than farting like Orlovsky though on camera. So,
yeah.
Anyways, Orlovsky farted on camera twice this year. It was hilarious. Anyways, going into training camp, it seems like Quessy always likes to have that guy that signs right before camp starts to get the team, gung ho. Hopefully it doesn't come down to that point to where it's before training camp. Hopefully it comes down to before mandatory mini camps would be nice. It's going to get done. It's going to get done. It's been in the works for a long time. They're not just going to let, we could franchise take him for the next 2 years if we have to, if it comes down to it. So, and nobody's bitching and moaning but the fans. And then the media is stirring it all up. The media is stirring it all up, which makes the fans bitch and moan about what's going on. It'd be different if you got Jefferson on Twitter fucking posting cryptic tweets
doing Stephon Diggs type things or something, yeah.
And you don't. It's all been civil between both parties. So there's nothing at this point right now where you hit DEFCON 5 panic button, or anything like that. It's going to get done.
Well, and to Ryan's point here, it's more about the offset language and that stuff. I agree. I think they probably the total dollar value is probably pretty well agreed to. It's guaranteed money and that kind of stuff. Of course, no trade clause, which, yeah, we'll give Jefferson a no trade clause if he wants it. I don't care. It's and Quasey said, as last week after the draft when he did, they were doing their intros and stuff, is, when they get this done, Justin Jefferson deserves his own week with nothing else going on, that kind of stuff for that.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I mean, rookie mini camp is this week. They don't want that detracting away from it. Give it a couple of weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if he signed before the 4th of July.
Yeah, like I said, usually before training camp, there's always that big splash signing before a training camp or whatever. So that's a good estimate right there.
Yep. Back on Jefferson, Ryan's just throwing out the great points tonight here. Wants Shady to start immediately. Next time we're poised to make a legit contending next season. Poised to make a legit run, and we'd rather see the bugs get worked out this year than next. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah. I mean, I project that he does start immediately, week 1. After the preseason's all said and done, maybe they'll have a couple looks at these guys during preseason games, and I believe JJ is going to be the man to take it. And I think we could possibly have both the offensive, defensive rookie of the years on our roster, just like Houston did last year. So we'll see.
I would be okay with that. I mean, they're already saying right now that Dallas Turner is the front runner for the defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
And with quarterback situation, yeah, I mean, we know what Daniels and Williams and May do, completely up in the air. We don't, one of those guys may jump out. They may fall flat on their ass. We don't know, but we'll see what happens as it gets into that. But I think if McCarthy starts the entire season, I think he's got as good a chance as any of them to do it.
I think he's going to be something special. I think we got something special cooking here in Minnesota with both the Timberwolves and now the Vikings. I think McCarthy's going to be something special. I think in 5 years, teams are going to be looking for the next JJ McCarthy. I know that sounds crazy coming out of a no-name podcaster's mouth, but you heard it here first from Brunswick. I think in 5 years or so, teams are going to be looking for the next JJ McCarthy in the draft.
Yeah. Back to this one here quick. Disgusting act. Hopefully we're competing for Super Bowl before it's time to pay McCarthy in 4 years. Rookie scale contract helps so much. And that's exactly the point. We had a quarterback and a edge rusher who were both looking at ginormous high dollar deals, and we exchanged out both of those for 2 guys that are on 5-year rookie deal contracts.
Right.
So, the time is now. That window is going to be wide open, and, it may not be necessarily open this year, but I truly agree with what Ryan said earlier, that next year, with the amount of cap space we're going to have, we can fill some of these holes, whether it be defensive tackle, maybe a good guard, or, that kind of stuff. We go loaded for bear next year in 2025, I think. That's not to say we can't compete for this year. I think even if Sam Darnold starts, I think this is still a team that's going to contend for a wild card.
I believe we can contend, and I believe you let the narrative write itself, and it will. And it all starts, week 1 of the 2024 football season.
Yeah. Dallas Turner, rookie of the year. Can he win that if he doesn't start? I don't know that there's a very good chance
you could totally win that, especially if they're rotating him in, and if he's making the most out of the snaps that he's getting. Absolutely.
I think, honestly, your starters are going to be Grenard and Turner, and then Van Ginkel's going to rotate in, and Pat Jones and whoever else.
There's going to be so many looks that Flores gives that it's everybody's going to feel like they're starting anyways. I mean, there's so many tools and pieces and people that you can move around in different spots that it's very frightening as a opposing offense, in my opinion, going up against this up-and-coming Vikings defense. Like I said, there's so many pieces and chess pieces that you can move around on this defense, and it's going to be very frightening for anybody that we're playing.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, look at it. Last year, we were in contention to win the division up until week 15, and that was with Justin Jefferson being out for 6 weeks and playing the carousel Benny Hill music of backup quarterbacks from week 9 on. Drew, watched quite a bit of JJ McCarthy's football career this far. His number one quality is always pushing to get better, gets mad at his mistakes, no sulking. Absolutely, Drew. The more I've seen his interviews and stuff like that, I couldn't agree with that more. I love that comment. Quasey had mentioned it, that, you know, after when they were there up at Ann Arbor for the private visit, McCarthy asked Quasey straight out, he said, is there a reason why the Minnesota Vikings would not draft me? And not because, hey, I'm awesome, I'm, king shit on Turd Mountain or whatever else like that. It's, is there something that you see in my game that I need to improve on, kind of a thing. And that's
just one of the many things I love about this kid is, and it's a huge thing. It's just this right here. Because he just gets it. He just gets it. And I feel like I understand him. I mean, the kid just gets it. He speaks, I just love what he brings from a leadership level, the intangibles, the stuff that you can't teach,
right.
just being a decent fucking human being on first hand, I'm excited. So
I can't believe you guys had never heard that saying before. I think I've heard that ever since I was a little kid, so I don't know, but feel free to use it as you wish.
King shit on Third Mountain.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think we've talked about McCarthy here quite a bit now. I think Dallas Turner, if I was going to put a bet on it right now, I don't gamble because I suck at it, but I would say that Dallas Turner starts as well, or at least plays very significant the first couple of games and then takes over as a starter week 3, week 4 kind of thing. Good evening.
Once again, like I said, I think there's gonna be a lot of moving pieces. I mean, one play you might see one guy in, and then the next play you might see somebody else in, and that's a good problem to have, especially if the play is there's no drop off in play.
Right. And we know we've got the mad scientist Brian Flores as defensive coordinator. I would fully expect all 3 of them to be on the field at some point in time. You drop one.
Exactly. That Flores.
You drop one of them up as a defensive end up there, and or running 5-2 or whatever you're kind of mix up. He's going to mix all this stuff up. We had Josh Metellus play every position except nose tackle last year.
I was going to mention him too. Yeah. He's somebody I'm really looking forward to again in another year in the system.
Yep. And now, Flores got more of his guys in this draft, guys that can play the stuff that he wants to play, like Kyrie Jackson. That's what happened last year when Flores' defense fell off. It was when teams found out that they could throw deep on these 5'10", 5'11" cornerbacks that we have. Kyrie Jackson's 6'4". McGlothern, the UDFA, is like 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", something like that. So we got some taller guys in there. Shaq Griffin is, I think, 6 or 6'1".
Yeah, our DBs were definitely needing some more length.
Yeah,
especially in those red zone situations where you could just put it up in the air and go for a jump ball.
Another good question here. Any interest in Hunter Renfrow like Powell, but feel he'd be better served if there was another quality guy to take some of the pressure off?
I'd be okay with bringing Hunter in for a look.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I saw what Tyler Boyd signed for with Tennessee.
I was hoping for Boyd for sure.
But apparently, according to Doogie Wolfson, the Vikings never really had much interest in Boyd.
Right.
So,
right.
Hey, AJ, good evening. Gabriel Murphy and Bo Richter. Yep.
Yeah, anyone after, Jefferson and Addison, I believe it's up in the air as far as depth chart goes.
Well, and we've also got Jalen Naylor, who everybody thought was going to take that step last year, and then of course was injured most of the season. If he can stay healthy, I think he has a very good shot at taking that number 3 guy.
Of course, that's the thing. That's the thing, and that's been the thing with Naylor going back to college. Is it's always been his health. He would have been drafted much higher had his health not been a concern coming out. I think at this point, Naylor better either nut up or shut up, because I think he's on the bubble this year.
Yeah, and I mean, early on last year before he got hurt, he was looking very, like he was going to take that spot over. Then he got hurt, and pass rush will help our DBs. Absolutely,
Yes.
Northfius.
Absolutely. That's a lot of people don't get that. The less amount of time that the quarterback has to throw the ball makes it a lot easier for these shorter DBs as well.
Yeah, and it was no coincidence that after DJ Wanham got hurt, that our pass rush started faltering, and when the pass rush started faltering, that's when the defense started giving up all those points. Because, I mean, we look when Hunter didn't have a sack for 3 weeks after Wanham went down, because we had nobody on the other side to put pressure on. They could double team Hunter, and they couldn't do, it didn't end up with much about it. That's not going to be the case this year because of Grenard, Dallas Turner, Van Ginkel, and, a host of these other kids that we've got out there. Andre Carter is still there from last year. We've brought in quite a few edge guys. Richter's an edge guy. Owen Porter, Gabriel Murphy. I'm
Murphy makes the 53.
I'm going hot take. Gabriel Murphy is this year's Ivan Pace.
Yeah. Yep. The big knock on Murphy was his arm length. The NFL really doesn't like guys with short arms. But everywhere this guy's been, he's bald. And we bet on Ivan Pace last year, and I think we're doing the same thing with Gabriel Murphy this year as well. He was the first guy we went after when the draft was done. So,
well, like I said, a lot of places I saw, and I had him pegged about, a 5th rounder, maybe a 6th rounder. And, he fell out to the Gabriel Murphy's brother. Might bring him in for camp as well. I guess I don't know much about him, AJ.
No, I don't know anything about him, honestly.
So I'll have to take your word on that one. Like Lance said earlier, there's a few open spots for the rookie camp this weekend, and that there's be a lot of those guys are, like the small school invitees, like, how Adam Thielen got on here, somebody from Mankato, or
there's this guy from Chile that played for the Commanders that retired or whatever, and then unretired. He's trying out. He's coming to the Vikings for mini camp. He's like an example of that. The dude is huge, but he's more of a blocking tight end than anything. But,
well, and somebody like that, could be fit into that international program where it doesn't
like a Johnny Oliver 2.0, basically. But I mean, a poor man's version of Johnny Oliver.
Yeah. Northfius is a big Bo Richter fan. I honestly have not had time to go back and watch tape on him, but I've heard a lot of good stuff about him. Arm length, hand size, all draft BS. If you can play, you can play. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that all the time. So many of these guys, like even a John Randall, he was too small. Joe Montana was too slow. And this and that, and so many of these guys. Tom Brady was a 7th round pick because nobody thought there was anything good about him at all when they drafted him. It's, you find, like Drew said, if you can play, you can play. It doesn't matter what level of competition you came from. It doesn't matter, if they say, what the draft pundits and stuff say. You come in there with a chip on your shoulder and you can play. You're going to make yourself a career in the NFL.
And a lot of times that's what makes these small guys so great, is that they've used that fuel their entire lives to just bring their play to the next fucking level, because they always feel like they got to prove to everyone that they belong.
Yep, everybody's
Smith.
Yeah,
fucking Steve Smith was a great example of that.
Yeah, everybody always telling them you can't do this because you're too small, or you can't do this because you're too slow, or because of this, or because of that. And then it's the ones that take that frustration and that chip and harness it into energy and go out there and prove everybody wrong.
Well, should we run down these number changes?
Yep, I think that's a good segue into that. We've kind of hit these guys plenty here for today. A slew of number changes announced this week for all the new players and a bunch of other guys. We'll start off with the current players who switched numbers to nobody's real surprise. The aforementioned Ivan Pace Jr. has now switched back to his natural number of 0. Brian Asamoah was 33. Of course, that went to Aaron Jones. So he is now number 2. Tristan Jackson gave up number 9 to McCarthy. He's now moving to number 8. So he took the other quarterback number. Ryan Wright gives up number 14 to Sam Darnold. He is now 17. Malik Knowles, wide receiver, was 81. Now he is 19.
Yeah, Asamoah might be on the fucking bubble too, going off of AJ's comment there, going into camp.
It's if he doesn't show up, I was extremely disappointed in Asamoah last year. I thought, I expected big things out of him, and we never got it.
But I also heard that he was battling injuries all season.
Yeah, he was hurt quite a bit of the time.
I still expected a lot more out of him, you know.
And then the last change, Najee Thompson was 11. He is now 36. So now switching over to the new numbers, new guys, rookies, and free agent signings. Cornerback Shaq Griffin will wear number 1. Stop me if anybody hears anything. Yeah, I know, Norrisvius. I'm working on it. I'm going to get Starlink here eventually. I just haven't had the extra $500 to plunk down to get the equipment for it. We'll get wrapped up here shortly, so before my internet gets any worse. Trent Sherfield, wide receiver, is now 11. Yeah, you've got mail. Of course, JJ McCarthy, of course, number 9. Sam Darnold is now 14. Cornerback AJ Green II, 28. As you mentioned, Aaron Jones now at 33. Andrew Van Ginkel, 43. Punter Seth Vernon, 49. Linebacker Blake Cashman, who will be penciled in as a starter to take over for Jordan Hicks. He'll be 51. Outside linebacker Jihad Ward, 52. Inside linebacker Camus Grugier Hill, 54. Jonathan Gennard gets 58. Guard center Dan Feeney gets 69. You got to have a lineman with number 69. It's a requirement.
Of course, he's got a mullet too.
Right. Defensive tackle Jonah Williams, 92. Kicker John Parker Romo, 96.
Wow.
That's I'm probably not making the roster, but I need a number kind of a thing. Jerry Tillery gets 9. And of course, you mentioned McCarthy. Dallas Turner will wear his number 15 that he had in college, which seeing a 15 as a pass rush would be kind of interesting, I guess.
Well, isn't Parsons 11?
No, Trent Sherfield, the wide receiver, is 11.
No, I mean Parsons for the Cowboys.
Micah Parsons, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's 11. I mean,
yeah. Kyrie Jackson will be 31. Will Richard will be 46. So we get either kicker is going to have a weird number unless they change it again once season starts. Levi Drake Rodriguez will get 50. Michael Juergens, 65. Walter Rouse, what's that?
Juergens.
Yes.
Hand motion.
Very slippery. Walter Rouse will be 78. Hopefully he plays better with that number than the last guy. Oliudo.
Yeah.
Wide receiver Devron Harper will get 35. Linebacker Donovan Manuel, 40. Tight end Trey Knox will get 41. Linebacker KJ Cloyd gets 45. Cornerback Dwight McGlothern, 47. Dallas Gant, the linebacker, gets 48. Owen Porter, outside linebacker / edge rusher, 57. Gabriel Murphy, outside linebacker, 59. Jeremy Flax, the offensive lineman, gets 63. Doug Nestor, 72, another offensive lineman. Matt Sindrick, offensive lineman, 73. Spencer Rowland, offensive lineman, 74. I think, isn't Rowland, isn't he a Minnesota kid?
Yeah, he is. He is.
Yeah.
Actually, I work with somebody whose sisters. I work with somebody that knows the kid. That's somebody's son. Anyways, but yeah, he's from the area.
I thought so. Where was I at?
He's an offensive lineman, right?
Yep.
Yeah, then that's the guy. Yeah. He's from Minnesota.
Wide receiver Jeshwan Jones will get 82. Wide receiver Ty James gets 85. Defensive tackle Taki Taimai, 94. He's one of the yes, one of the nose tackle-ish type players. Tyler Manoa gets 95.
How many people are on this fucking list, man?
90.
How many do we got left?
I think the only ones that didn't change numbers were Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, the way it's going.
This is where everybody that watches the video after our live recording just slides through to the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the other two, Henry Bird, the guard, 68. Bo Richter, outside linebacker, 98. Anthony Jersey, number 78. Yeah.
Jalen Roy is one of those guys. There's a comment above there that says, "Better be ready to show us what he's got." He's one of those guys I expect to take that next step. I got a list of guys that I expect to take a next step for next season, but I'm going to save that for a later episode here down the road. But
we got to have stuff to talk about during the slow time, so we'll keep that up. But
he's definitely on that list, though, for a little spoiler. But yeah, I expect Roy to take that next step next coming season.
If you say so, Ryan. I've already got a number 9 jersey. I got number 10. I'll take Fran Tarkenton's number. I got that in the closet. So, but anyway, gone on about 53 minutes here. Last call for anything in the chat that you guys want to talk about before we call her a week. If not, want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and putting up with my crappy internet service and all of that other fun stuff. I promise I'm working on it. We'll get it updated. I will have better internet before the season starts. I will guarantee that. If I have to go sell myself on a street corner to pay for it, I will do that.
I don't see us signing Howard. The last two seasons he's had have not been all that great. I think he hasn't graded out very well at all.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I thought there was a chance before the draft, but then with the guys we picked up, I don't think so. Possibly if some of these guys don't look very good in rookie camps and something like that, then I don't think the door is completely shut on it, but I would put it at a pretty low possibility.
Hit the same kind of wall that Rhodes hit when Rhodes kind of fell off a cliff, just from one year to the next, and the next thing you know, he just doesn't have it. I feel like Howard's been kind of the same thing has happened.
Yeah, he's Howard. Been at the very least teetering.
Went from being an elite corner to being below average to an average corner, honestly, within a very short amount of time.
Yeah. Norris with the good point. The bad internet probably makes me look better than I do normally. But Reisner, I think Reisner is a
possibility to come back for sure.
It's still there again. The door's not closed on that either. I think they want to see what they have in some of these young guys to see if the run blocking can improve. I don't know that I'm confident right now going into the season with what we have there. But, they're talking Walter Rouse could move into guard. You got a bunch of these undrafted guys. You've got Juergens who can play guard and center.
I think Juergens takes one of those spots, whether it be the center position or the left guard position. I think he takes one.
I hope so. I mean, I love when we find these guys out, that in the late rounds that can come in and play offensive line. We've done it many times in the past. I know Norrisville is all good.
Gilmore's another guy that's kind of in. I would rather just see what we got. Right now, our cornerback room is pretty fucking deep.
We got like 16 cornerbacks on the roster right now.
What's that?
I think there's like 16 cornerbacks on the roster.
Exactly.
Right now,
I mean, we might as well at this point go into camp with what we got on the roster and see what we have, and then after camp, if we don't like what we got, then we go out looking for somebody else. Yeah. But right now, we're sitting 16 men deep. I think we're set on that position as far as until after camp goes.
Yep. Defensive tackle. Yeah. I don't know that there's anybody out there. Last time I checked the wires, there wasn't anybody really that floated my boat.
Yeah, unfortunately, the defensive tackle at least there is kind of like the center position too in free agency. There really isn't anything too appealing out there right now.
No, I know there's people have been floating Calais Campbell as a defensive end possibly, but he's way up there in age. So I don't know.
The only veteran out there I'd be willing to take a look at because he's been doing it at such a ripe old age for so long at the same level that he's been doing it. He's about the only one that said that, that much of a veteran that I'd be willing to take a look at.
Yeah. I'm not sold on I think there's a decent chance possibly, once you get the cut downs that there may be a guy or two that are out there that would be worth bringing in at that point in time, but I don't, the big goon is still out there. I'd
be more inclined to go with Campbell because of just the, Big Goon hasn't been on the roster for 2 seasons now, and you got Campbell.
Well, I talked to some people that know the Big Goon, or and have talked to these people, and they say his knees are not very good anymore, so he's a bit player at the most.
Norfius has a good point there too, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I think. Part of it was kind of how the board fell. They didn't expect Dallas Turner to be there. And I think if Dallas Turner had been gone already, and of course, Byron Murphy went at 16 to Seattle, I think that Johnny Newton.
I think Byron Murphy was our guy if he would have been available.
Yeah. But Johnny Newton, I think, could have been an option at 23 had we not moved up for Turner.
I think we showed a lot of interest in Murphy for him to not be our guy. Yeah,
we did. But I also heard that they liked Dallas Turner well enough that there was a thought that they would take him at 11, and then swing back and get a quarterback later, which I'm glad they did not do because we wouldn't have gotten a quarterback, especially with Atlanta doing what they did. So,
next week will be Tuesday night, by the way. But I think a good way to seal this show off is I think a lot of these guys that we have been bitching about wanting to get on the field and that we haven't seen get on the field, barring Lewis Cine, I'm not putting him in this category. I don't know what the hell is happening there, but I think a lot of these guys we've been asking about not seeing on the field, we're going to see a lot of those guys this year because of the fact that they've been waiting in their wings, waiting to have their moments. And a lot like the Jaqueline Roys or maybe possibly the Andrew Booths of this world or whoever it may be. But I think a lot of these names that we've been calling for, we're going to see this season. So
I think so too. All right. Excuse me. With that, thank you guys for joining in, watching. We know that summertime is busy and everybody's got stuff to do, but we really appreciate you guys taking an hour out of your Wednesday night to come join us and talk in the chat like always. We're going to keep doing it this way because we want to keep doing the live shows because they're so much more fun than just taping something and putting it out there. Get to interact with you guys. We love that.
Right.
Thank you to everyone again. Shout out to the Filipino fan club, Noy, Nympha, Sam, everybody over there. Thank you for watching from halfway around the world. We've got, again, people down in South America, Europe, Canada, places watching. Really appreciate it. And with that, how about you say goodnight, Lance, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I will get. I know this head needs to be washed. I got another one that needs it too. But yeah, it was a great.
That's why we're black hats.
I've been wearing my black one for a while now, but yeah, this could use a good rub down wash. So yeah,
that's what she said.
So yeah, it was a great episode tonight. I'm glad that we got the back and forth that we did with all you guys. Yeah. Until next week Tuesday, 7:00. We'll see y'all then. With that being said, enjoy your rest of your week, everybody. Aubrey, Millie, if you're out there watching, Dad loves and misses you. Skull.
Have a good week, everybody.